Amelia was much more than just a pilot. That was why she was so much missed. So I started on her trail. I spent days at the Schlesinger Library, where the Earhart papers are. I interviewed Fay Gillis Wells, one of the original members of the 99s. I pored through the old newspapers she gave me. In one of them, I found a reference to Amelia's beloved cousin, Catherine Catch Challis. It gave Catch's married name, and through that I tracked her down. I interviewed her for the first time ever, and when she died, her daughter, Pat Antich, gave me her diaries and the diaries of her sister Lucy, who lived with Amelia for several years. In the diaries were endless entries mentioning Amelia. Another cousin gave me the personal history of Amelia's mother's family, which had been gathered into a book and never unearthed. I tracked down another branch of the family with the help of Amy Klepner, whose mother Muriel, Amelia's sister, is still alive. The cousin that chase led me to was Nancy Bayliss Morse, who gave me the gut-wrenching correspondence between Amelia's mother, uncle, and brother. Through those letters I learned how desperately poor the Earharts were in Amelia's growing-up years. Gore Vidal, whose father was one of Amelia's closest friends, told me of an unpublished biography written by a journalist friend of Amelia's. He knew only that it had been submitted to Putnam's and been turned down. I pestered Putnam's for the names of old-timers. I went through Boston and suburban Boston telephone directories, for Janet Mabie wrote for the Christian Science Monitor, and I queried the newspaper as well. And then one day, as I was leaving the Schlesinger Library, in the information rack just inside the front door, Janet Mabie's name popped out at me, and I saw that the Schlesinger now had her papers. In the papers was Mabie's unpublished biography. It was full of gems. Those were the big finds. There were many smaller ones. Flipping through the A's in one of the big black books that contain the New York Public Library's older, non-computerized holdings, I came upon a publication called The Ace, the Aviation Magazine of the West. I pulled it out and found it was a monthly covering Los Angeles in the early 1920s, and that Amelia flitted in and out of the pages. I found in Boston newspapers articles on her flying and on her feminist activities before her flight in the Friendship. I interviewed pilots who had known her. I went up to Newfoundland to see for myself what Trepassey was like, and to walk on that famous field in Harbor Grace, built especially for the first transatlantic flights. I heard of someone who heard of a woman Amelia's navigator Fred Noonan wrote letters to while they were flying around the world. I tracked Helen Day Bible down. I started wearing brown clothes, because Amelia did. Peeling away the layers, the cobwebs the years had laid on her, I found a capable, caring, energetic woman who had succeeded in life beyond her wildest dreams. Yet she never lost sight of her beginnings, and took it as her mission in life to show other women how to climb the ladder as she had, rung by rung, so that they could have a piece of the good life too. That didn't mean rejecting men, far from it. She was married to a bright, successful entrepreneur who adored her and gave up his career to manage hers. She wanted women to develop themselves to their fullest potential, as she had. Her fame came from her flying exploits, but she was one of the most successful businesswomen of her day. She made her living on the lecture circuit, was one of the 4 founding stockholders and vice president of the airline that became Northwest Airlines, was involved in various air-related businesses, was the author of 2 books and countless magazine articles, was under contract to the New York Herald Tribune, and was on the staff of Purdue University as a consultant in careers for women. She gave her students positive reasons to succeed. I advised them all to identify themselves with some form of economic activity. I believe that a girl should not do what she thinks she should do, but should find out through experience what she wants to do. For that reason I ask the girls to measure themselves against others who are earning their living. I endeavor to find out why girls select particular subjects for study, what other interests they have, and to let them see what other women are doing in these various fields. I try to help them understand that it is just as important to give work to women as men, for they have an equal need for mental stimulus and feeling of accomplishment and economic independence. She was a feminist who appealed to men as well as women because she used her position to promote not women's causes,